All right, what's up, everybody? I am interviewing Rene Rodriguez. This is the 430th time I've interviewed Rene. That was a little bit of a joke, but decades of conversations, lots of formal interviews, and it is 2023. It is December 11th. Not sure exactly what day this will hit our YouTube channel. But I recently did an interview with Jeremy Forcier, and he said, let's make the topic separation season. And I'm like, I dig that. He gave credit to Ed Milet. He's like, I heard Ed Milet say that on a podcast, and I'm like, yeah, I love that. And this will be my third interview around this topic. So Rene, why don't you just share your thoughts on separation season and the fact that this is a time of year when the best are winning, and they're doing things that the rest aren't.
So I think let's go back to the idea behind it. I wrote an article back in 2007 about marketing, and it opened up with this idea that two runners approach a hill, and one runner decides to conserve their energy and walk up the hill. The other runs up the hill. And the obvious piece, which is what happens in downturns, is people stop marketing. The bigger companies market more, and that becomes a separator, those separator moments. And I know that even our good friend from Knowledge Coop, Ken, he trains for these marathons, and he said his majority of his training is hills because he wants to run through the hills. And when you look at the advantages, and I think it's almost like the way I want to go about this is saying, okay, if I'm a winner in this sense, and then you look at the traits of all the people that are doing better than others, they look for opportunities to gain ground where others are not. And that's the secret. And there's so many aspects that we can look at this from right now. One of them is that it's separation season, which is great. Like, what does that mean? And I almost want to caution us because we're hearing that term. Ed talks about it. Ben Newman talks about it. We're all talking about this, but listen to it. Like, what in the world does that mean right now? All the best are doing it. Why do people like Jeremy Forcier gravitate towards that? Because they go, that's what I do. They look for that moment when everyone's walking. How do I run? I was 16 years old when I first saw my first motivational speaker, and he said 4 things: run when everyone else is walking, practice when no one else is, sleep when everyone else is partying, and stay away from drugs and alcohol. All those are separator moments. Monday mornings are separator moments. Friday afternoons are separator moments. Stupid holidays are separator moments because everyone else takes it off, but I go, man, no one's calling me. I'm going to run even further down this path. And the getting up in the morning is a separator moment. It's doing something that others aren't. And so, how many times we had an interview where we talked about when the lights go out, who do they go out for? They go out for everyone. Okay, well, if you're running in a race and people stop running because they're scared, what do? We should run faster. Separator moments. And so let's kind of define what that means is that it's doing the opposite of what it feels like you want to do emotionally. And so right now, this distraction around the lawsuit in the real estate industry, perfect separator moments. And I think I wrote this in Housing Wire. I said, distraction's your friend right now because all your competitors are so worried about this lawsuit. And every top producer I know, you know what they call the lawsuit? A distraction. And they go, good, let them be distracted. They got their eye off the ball. They're worried about something they can't control. And so what am I going to do? Talk to more customers, meet with more people, get a better message, find more airtime. I mean, there's always these times where we can just continually move forward. Go back to the pandemic. Everybody was scared of the pandemic. What did we do? Got virtual. Why? Because it's the only choice I had. It is the only choice I had. And so to me, you're going to hear separator seasons, separator moments, it's like creating distance, all that stuff. So let's look at what it is. And to me, it comes down to 3 decisions. The first decision that I am faced with is, am I going to focus on, it's really the decision is, what am I focused on? And I'm focused on either one of 2 things, either what I have or what I don't have. So let's look at that, the first decision point. And so this is really, really basic. Do I have this or do I not? The second focus decision point is what I can control, what I can't control. So let's put those 2 together before I even introduce a third. Let's focus on what I don't have. I don't have enough leads. And then I'm going to focus on what I can't control, which is interest rates. So my attention and focus is focused on the fact that I don't have leads and interest rates are high. The outcome of that, depression and misery and lack of activity, which generates no business. So because of my focus, I have self-fulfilled the prophecy that the market is bad. So now let's switch the focus. I'm going to focus on what I have. I've got a phone. I've got the ability to, and I've got time. And I've got a list of people that I could call. Let's say an apartment complex nearby. Now, what I can and can't control will be the second one. I can control how many times I pick up the phone. And I can control whether I measure it. I can control whether I jump on MortgageCoach and copy a few scripts and best practices from the best. So now I'm focused on the fact that I have a phone and I have time and I've got scripting and I'm going to control that and I'm going to practice. Magically, I generate leads. Holy shit, the market isn't all that bad. Maybe there is opportunity. The only thing I shifted was my focus. The last part is time-based. So I focused on the past, the present, or the future. If I'm focused on the past and things I cannot control, that creates sadness, depression. If I'm focused on the future around things I cannot control and that I don't have, I create a sense of fear. But if I focused on here, the here and now, on what I can control and what I have, I'm unstoppable. And so this to me is the ultimate hack on how do I manage this mindset around what I can do and what I can actually, how I can make a difference. I know I'm stopping on you previous. I just want to make some space for you if you want to say something.
Yeah, no, I do that. There's so much wisdom in that. I actually did a post on Instagram last night. It was one of those posts from like a year ago. You know how Facebook will like pull up like, hey,
Yeah.
a year ago you did this, and it totally aligned around a conversation. I went golfing with Scott Nicholson and Ken Perry yesterday, and we were talking about how some people are getting bitter, and fewer people are getting better. And here was the post that I did. This came from Lex Friedman. It was a Lex Friedman post on Twitter a year ago, X today, and Lex said, if you look for a reason to hate a person, eventually you'll find it. If you look for a reason to celebrate a person, eventually you'll find it.
I love it.
The former leads to resentment and destructive criticism. The later leads to happiness and growth for you and those you celebrate. And
Love that.
and so one, that's just another example of what are you focusing on, you know? And then that also reminds me, someone who's gone through amplifying training, that, you know, that message that I learned at Amplify, Rene, where, you know, if you want people to like you, you need to like them first. And if you really focus on that, and so I do think, you know, it's separation season, guys. And two little check-ins I'll make just at this point in the conversation is really do a better versus bitter audit on yourself. You know, like this is a good season to really think deeply into how are you thinking? You know, are you looking for things to be bitter about? Or are you looking for things that make you better? And so those are some thoughts that I had after
Love
hearing
that.
how you set this up so far.
I love the better versus bitter. And to me, these are just checkpoints where you can only look in the mirror and have an answer for yourself. And it's easy to talk about separation season, but are you doing it? And you got to have that honest conversation with yourself to go. And I love that other checkpoint of the better and bitter, because I just, when you said better and bitter, I'm like, I thought about 4 times that I've been bitter the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, damn it, I got to check that. Like, you got to have that ego-less conversation with yourself to go, shit, I've been bitter. I've been, you know, it's really, well, the cool part is I've been surrounded by some really, really cool people for the last few years. The tough part is they're doing big shit. And it's easy for me to go, well, why aren't I? And then I'm like, well, hold on a second. Am I getting bitter about that? Like, you know, I've been 30 years in this business. Why am I not doing that? Or am I going, hold on, what can I do to get better today? And that, like, I'm having an aha moment of myself going, shit, I've been shifting, teetering on some bitter moments. Not every moment, but enough to where I got to go, stop. Like, no. So thank you. That's a really, really good better versus bitter. And I think you also have to ask yourself this question: am I engaging in separating myself or not? And meaning that is only decided on your actions. And so take a good look at your calendar. Am I doing things? Am I making the phone calls I need to, or am I upset that I'm not doing this? And these are things that we've been saying so much, which I love, that truth sort of converges always, that interest rates really just need to stop mattering to us in our sales process. They have to, and they have to stop being part of our value proposition. Meaning if you're not posting on social media, but then interest rates drop and that's your post, what you in essence are doing is training your audience to go, interest rates matter. And then what you're training them is, when interest rates go up, is that they matter, so that I shouldn't buy. Instead, saying interest rates are part of an equation. Let me tell you how they play. When they go up, there's a reason to buy. And when they go down, there's a reason to buy. Sometimes when they go down, there might be a reason to wait. You got to be that person to say that there's always an opportunity to buy. No matter what happens, just like, I got to train my audience that interest rates don't dictate whether I should be buying or not. But my advice should be what dictates whether you buy or not. And that's the ultimate piece there, is it should be coming from my advice. There's another piece that I want to talk about. There's a guy that I just absolutely love listening to. His name is Andrew Bustamante. He is, yeah, everyday spy. And what I love is when you start hearing things that you talk about for a long time in a different perspective. And they asked him, so
have you had him on your podcast yet? Have you interviewed
Not yet,
him?
but I'm trying okay. Really hard. Yeah.
Good.
And so maybe we do a dual thing. We'll get him on both. So he's an ex-CIA agent, and he's sort of really coming out and sharing a lot of the lessons and knowledge of being a CIA agent and the process. And I'm actually like blown away of how much he can actually share. And then it gets interesting when he's like, well, we're kind of intruding on some classified stuff there. So he'll stop, but I still can't imagine. I can't believe how much he shares, which is so freaking cool.
No, he's super entertaining, edutaining to listen to.
Yeah. And very smart, right? So they asked him, what's one thing that, the normal person like us can learn from a spy? And he said, my answer hasn't shifted in years. And he said, we need to move away from perception and into perspective. And it's like, okay, where's he going with this? He said, well, we all believe that our perception equals reality, but there's a limitation to that. And if you think about it, as a spy, I need to have an advantage over you. So then for us, what that means is, as competitors, we need to have advantage over our competition and people that are in whatever business we're in. And so if, as a spy, me functioning from my perception being my reality, that is only my reality for me and for me only. So perception is reality, but only for me. Your perception is your reality, only for you. There is zero advantage from having only one perspective. If I'm in a room of 10 people and I function from my perception, meaning my reality, then I'm at a disadvantage of 9 other or 10 other perspectives and 10 other pieces of data. So I have to move away from my perception and try to be a collector of perspectives, excuse me. So I got to know, how are these other 10 people perceiving and what's their perspective on the situation? And if I'm the only one of 10 doing that, I've got a 10x advantage of knowledge and situational awareness. And so many of us, and to me, I was like, that is so cool to be a collector of perspectives. And how many times, Dave, your whole podcast is a collector of perspectives. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What's your take on the market? What's your take on this? The whole Mortgage Coach community is a collection, and all the videos are collections of perspectives. What's somebody's perspective on lead generation? Well, somebody says, well, cold calls are great. Well, then somebody else says cold calls are dead. Well, those are 2 different perspectives, both of which have their own methodologies and their own processes. I think cold calls are great. I also think any methodology that doesn't have to make a call is great too, but I'm still going to do both. And so being that collector of that, one, for me, what it did was I go, okay, the way I perceive the world, the market, the situation, the client, if the way I perceive it is not even remotely enough for me, it's not even remotely enough to give me an advantage. And so I've got to go, how do other people perceive this? And I want to know how, sorry to be so blunt, losers look at things. Because if a loser, meaning somebody that is not the way that I want to be, and I'm not saying I won't call someone a loser, but in my mind, I'm going, somebody who's not winning in today's market or world, I want to know what they're thinking, because if I remotely sound like them, I got to get out of that quickly. I need to understand that side of thinking, the pessimist side. But I also want to know, how are the winners thinking? And so why? Because I want to see the difference, the delta between my thought process and theirs. And how do I bridge that as quickly as possible? And if I can make that, to use what you turned me on to, OODA loop, if I can observe and orient myself as quickly as possible, and decide in that moment to follow that, and to bridge that gap between my thinking and the winner's thinking, and I can do that throughout the day, now I'm navigating the day, because it is a navigation, right? We're flying through our days. Things are coming, stimulus are coming, decisions are coming at us, meetings are coming at us, opportunities are coming, potential negativity is coming at us, and we got to navigate all that, and we got to orient ourselves, and observe, orient, decide, and act, right? And we got to be able to do that on a daily basis. And so I think the more I understand the loser mentality and the winner mentality and the delta between the two, the better I'm able to make and navigate those. And if I'm focused then within that on what I can control, and being really clear on what resources and good things that I have, and things that I have at my disposal, and I can focus on the here and now and not worry too much about the future and forget the past, learn from the past, but that's it. Learn from it and move forward. That's a really deadly, in a positive sense, a really powerful, I think, way to be.
So let me put some coaching notes behind that, and then I want to introduce another topic. So first of all, anyone, who doesn't know what an OODA loop is, Google it, and Wikipedia has a really nice definition with some very cool images. And I really encourage you to study it. It's one of those things that once you understand, observe, orient, decide, and act, and that the human being and the leader and the mortgage professional that can operate with the fastest and most effective OODA loop wins. And really there's two sides of that. There's one, leadership and decision making around leadership, and then two, as a mortgage professional, and as a real estate professional, there's never been more uncertainty in the market. Are rates going to go up? Are they going to go down? Are values going to go up or going to go down? So, being able to be that person that helps people, understand, collect perspectives. So come in to every first-time home buyer with true humility and curiosity around, why they haven't bought so far. And, don't go in with the rich shaming mentality and like, oh, you're burning money. Come in with true curiosity, collect perspectives, and then share other perspectives. Be the guy that helps them. This is how other people are seeing it. And, I think it's a great thought process, Rene, and some real gold from a separation season. Before I introduce the other idea and start another it's not a totally different direction, but it's a question I have for you. I want to hear you answer it. Anything else you want to say on that topic?
No, I think what I'm trying to do is converge a lot of the different thinking into just some really basic ways. One, we have to look at what we can and can't control, what I have, what I don't have, focus on the here and now, and then be able to do that on a repeat basis, like all the time. It's not just I do it once in the morning and I'm done. I'm going to do it as throughout the day. And that's where OODA loop comes in.
Okay, cool. So here's another question. And I just finished a 3-hour podcast between Andrew Huberman and Robert Greene. And
So good.
I think Robert Greene is he the most sold the most books of
He's up there.
any
He's
millions.
way up there. Yeah. Multiple millions, tens of millions.
Yeah, and they were having a conversation that the headline was a process for finding and achieving your unique purpose. And I just felt like that really had a calling for me. I mean, that's something I've worked my whole life to do. And there were about 4 key takeaways, maybe 5. Let's just say there were 5 key takeaways. And one of them was how you manage your anxiety will define your success and your ability to achieve your unique purpose. That was just, by the way, that was my note, how you manage your anxiety. And so with that said, Rene, I would love for you to, a Rene Rodriguez and an amplify answer, because I think there's a lot of anxiety in mortgage and housing, and I think you could bring a lot of, perspective here. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think when you come managing anxiety, what I covered previously is specifically designed to manage that, because
Okay.
anxiety is something that is when you're not focused on the here now and you're focused on the future. Anxiety is future driven, and so if you're worried about what's coming, you're not in the present, and so that is a very simple yet hard thing to do. When it comes to your purpose, which is core, I think, to what we do at Amplify, to me, the end around figuring out purpose. One thing that I've come to learn is that purpose is a choice. It's not something that's sort of bestowed on you, but it's a choice. There's a really big element of choice into that. Then there's, mission kind of goes into that. But just yesterday, I spent probably 4 hours. I'm putting together this worksheet, this process for using Ikigai to help create your purpose. And it's almost, and I'll explain Ikigai in a minute. I think you know what it is, but it's a process where I can lead you through a series of 4 questions. And one of them is identifying what you love and going through and really saying, what is it that you love? And what are the things that would bring you the most joy? And creating just a list of saying, what are the things that you love the most? What fires you up the most? And the next one is, what does the world need? And so we say, okay, so the world needs, more peace. It needs more coping skills. The world needs more better communication skills. The world needs better, more focus, whatever it is. And then look at what can I be paid for? And then really getting clear, where am I paid here in this? Because there's what I love to do, is what the world needs, but where am I paid? And then taking a look at what am I good at? And so those 4 acts are what I'm good at, what I'm passionate about, or what I love to do, what the world needs, and what I'm paid for. And then when you start intersecting those is where it gets really powerful, because when you look at what I'm good at and what I love, the intersection of those two is my passion. And say, okay, so I'm really passionate about this stuff, but there's a lot of things that I'm really good at and that I love to do that I can't get paid for. I like playing the drums, right? And I love music. I'm not getting paid for that. But then I look at what I love and what the world needs, and the intersection of those two is mission. So I love doing this and the world needs this, so I'm going on this mission. But then I look at the intersection between what the world needs and what I can get paid for. That's my vocation, which is this higher level view of your work, right? It's purpose driven. And then in the middle of that, between those, of what I'm paid for and what I'm good at, is my profession. And that's where we start looking at sometimes, the Professor Galloway talks about the biggest lie in universities, and people and speakers will tell you, is that, you should follow your passions. And he said that billionaires will tell you that, and CEOs and all these successful people, but there wasn't a single billionaire oil executive that said, I was passionate about oil. They were good at it. And because they were good at it, they focused on it. And that focus created accoutrements, benefits. It created money, opportunities, and networks. And they created a passion because they were good at it. And so passion was later. And I was talking to somebody and they're like, well, I just need confidence first. And I go, what if confidence didn't matter? What if confidence was the prize versus the precursor? We think confidence is a precursor. It's not. Confidence is something bestowed after you have no confidence, yet you do it anyways. And you figure it out, and then you do it and it succeeds. You go, oh, here, by the way, here's your prize, confidence. And then you do it again. Still self-doubt, still the words, but you still freaking do it anyways. And then it works. More confidence. There's a prize. What if it was the prize versus the precursor? And so when we look at this piece, but the middle of all of these things, your passion, your mission, your vocation, your profession, is that Japanese term of Ikigai. But I think that the pursuit of this purpose comes back to, what is it that makes us unique? And what is it? And what is the story behind that? And that's by the way, Dave, that's the part you haven't seen in that we shifted in Amplify, is we'll go through this question of, who are you? What do you do? What makes you unique? And we'll watch people sort of crumble under that question because they answer it. And then I'll say, okay, just give me a couple words. And in fact, let's try it. Dave, give me 3 words that make you unique.
Red hair.
First ones that come up. Say it again.
Red hair.
No, I'm talking about your work unique. not
Come on.
attributes.
That was kind of fun though.
Yeah, that was fun.
Uh, my advice matters.
So that makes you unique, though, it would be that you're wise, collector of wisdom.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I believe you're wise. What else?
I've interviewed thousands of the most successful loan officers, and
But what is it about you that does that? So you like to create, highlight success of others.
yeah, I'm super
Oh,
curious,
curious.
insatiable curiosity what for strategies that win and for what drives people that achieve, incredible success.
So wise curiosity. Give me one more.
Um, because I have just dedicated so many years to advice and really helping people understand how the mortgage decision can
I just
really
want a word.
define
Give me a word. Just give me a word. Justin, just give me a word.
advice,
Advisor, coach. Which one?
advice. Yeah. Coach. Okay. Coaching.
Coach. Okay. So wisdom, curiosity, and coaching. All right. So now, would you say that wisdom, curiosity, and coaching are part of your personal values?
Yes.
Beautiful. So now, here's what we know in the science. Science says that those personal values are formulated between the ages of 9 and 13. You didn't just recently do that, right? So which one? Wisdom, curiosity, coaching. Which one's on your heart the most right now? We're doing a quick version of this. Pick one.
Coaching.
First one, coaching.
Coaching.
Boom. So now the next question comes into play is, because coaching was something that was really formulated for you between those ages of 9 and 13, who was around between ages 9 to 13? And question is, were they a lighthouse or a foghorn? Lighthouse meaning somebody was in your life as a coach. They were the guiding light. They were there to help you and you wanted to be like them. They were the lighthouse. Or nobody showed up and you had a foghorn, you had darkness. And so you had to figure out how to do that on your own. So between ages 9 to 13, who was around and were they a lighthouse or a foghorn around coaching?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's getting like a therapy session here. Well, it was my dad, and unfortunately, he was a foghorn.
Okay. Well, by the way, my mom, you know how important she is to me. She was a lighthouse and a foghorn to me. So it doesn't mean negative. It just means
Yeah, and
like
and,
I know
and
I'm a
he
lighthouse.
he said
I'm
some
a lighthouse
things
and a
that
foghorn.
were positive, but in terms of me, you know, going down this path of coaching
Yeah.
and the falling into the mission I'm on, yeah, I would say he was a
So
foghorn that period.
so now watch how fun this is. Tell me a story about your dad between the ages of 9 and 13 and how he was a foghorn for coaching.
Oh man, dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna not cry, but
Or cry either way.
I was interested in money, and I was at his desk. And it was probably like 9 or 10, going through the checks. Like back in the day, check for all you younger Gen Zs, checks used to be a thing, and balancing your checkbook was a thing. And I had got into his desk and was super curious about money and checks and all, how he paid the bills. Anyways, he came in and saw it, just completely lost his shit, beat the crap out of me. And could have been a coach, could have really helped me turn that into an educational learning experience, but instead, I was like, you're in a place where you shouldn't be, and it was a very negative experience.
So Dave, now do you wonder why you have such a passion for first home IQ?
Yeah.
And so the beauty of this process, we talk about purpose. Purpose already exists and it's something that we have to choose. But usually what I've come to find out, and this is in my experience of doing this with thousands of people, is that it comes from those moments that now we either, when we talk about healing our past or honoring our work today is either to heal it or honor it. And so look at how much you're healing your past by helping people, be an advisor around the one thing that you have the most darkness on. And the beautiful thing about foghorns in our life is that it forces a lot of us to become the lighthouse because we had darkness. And so we gave the world and we created for the world what we never had. And so look at the things that you created were the exact things that you never had. And you look at what even First Home IQ is, what MortgageCoach, what Wow Tools is all about, is you're creating a light where you had darkness, you had a learning disability, and You found technology. Technology was the lighthouse. Where you had darkness, you couldn't write the letter, but you said, shit, I press a button and I'm an automatic writer. Holy shit. Let me show everybody how to create wow experiences. And so then you go, wow, I want to learn about money, but you were beat down literally. And so I want to teach the world about how money works. And so we talk about purpose. It's perfectly aligned with your purpose because it's the full story that started back then. Just so many of us have never connected the dots as to why, for some reason, you have this predisposition to gravitate towards a message like First Home IQ, or why, for some reason, you decided to be a coach to people. Why, for some reason, it's because of those things that happen there. And so that becomes our purpose. And then when we make that even clearer, it becomes even more intentionally purposeful.
Bro, so powerful. In this same interview, finding and achieving your unique purpose, I wrote down 4 key takeaways. One, self-awareness is key to everything. Uh, 2, pay deeper attention to things inside you and around you, which, by the way, you're like checking all these boxes. I already talked about anxiety. And then the last one, they called it dead ground, but it was, the fact that you got to we're all going to die and you never know when it's going to happen. And so to have a sense of urgency to live and achieve your purpose.
Yeah.
Those were the 4.
Love it.
And I have to tell you, just this conversation, you really you check the box on all of them. What would be some things that people could do to grow self-awareness, and during this separation season, some, pay attention deeper to get closer to that core purpose? Because I do believe when you are living a life of purpose and you're a loan officer, you're a realtor, and it's more than profits, like when you're on purpose and you're living a purposeful life, profits come, and they come in bigger waves. So, this whole profits and purpose. Any thoughts on during separation season for people
Yeah.
to, become more self-aware?
Well, I wrote a whole chapter on self-awareness in the book. It was chapter 2, was literally the first one was an overview of what influence was, but then we got into it, which was self-awareness, which is the number one skill in leadership and influence and selling. And self-awareness, it should be a lifelong journey. And the interesting research on self-awareness is about 90% of people believe they're self-aware, but the empirical data says that about 10 to 15% of us actually are. And so that's the scariest part, is that most of us walk around believing we're self-aware when we're actually not. And so the moment I think I'm one of the 10 to 15, what my belief system is, the moment I think I'm one of the 10 to 15 is the moment that I'm now put myself into the 80% that doesn't, the 85% that isn't self-aware. And so I need to constantly say, okay, I think I am, but I know there's a bunch of stuff I'm missing. And so the journey of self-awareness, journaling, looking in the mirror, having conversations, accepting feedback from people that you trust, and listening to a grain of salt from those that you don't trust. People that you don't like and don't like you will typically tell you things that nobody else will. I have learned so much from internet trolls. I've learned so much by just going, I wonder, what if they're right about this? And I just listen, and I'm like, you know what? There's a point in here. Yeah, the way they said it was mean and cruel, but they're kind of right. I gotta change that. And I have allowed a lot of those people to really affect my thinking in that. And so I think the journey of self-awareness is a never-ending one. It's one that you should never be comfortable in, because it's the moment you think you got it figured out is the moment you've opted out of self-awareness. And so I tell people the scariest person is one that says, yeah, I don't know, I'm very self-aware. Well, that means you've just shut off any possibility that you're not. Maybe there's a point that you're missing. I trust the person that says, you know what, I'm trying to be, but man, there is so much more that I don't know. And that level of humility that goes into it, I think is critical. And so for loan officers, realtors that are listening to this, is a great way of looking at self-awareness is take a look at your calendar, get a red marker and a green marker, and look at how you spend your day. Put green next to money-making activities, things that are driving you forward. Put red next to things that aren't making you money. That's one way to create self-awareness in the way you spend your time. Track your time. Time is the stuff that life is made of. That's the only thing that we have for life. It's the only way you understand time is how you spend your life. And so taking a look at, am I really doing the things? Measure your numbers. Am I really making phone calls today? What is my conversion ratio? Yeah, that's work, but how else are you going to know? And we talk to people that, I try to diet, I'm not losing weight. Well, have you measured what you eat? Because I guarantee you that it is a math equation. Trust me, we did the math on how much weight I lost, by the way. It's been 102 pounds of fat.
Gosh.
Just fat. Now, I gained 35 pounds of muscle, but 102 pounds of fat. And the only way I did it was finally getting honest about what I was eating and honest about how much it weighed, caloric makeup of it, listening to the things that actually made me feel good. Did I actually work out? And finally putting that in a position where I was held accountable and my emotions didn't matter. And the moment I just decided that my emotions didn't matter, and I was fasting, but I'd fast one day a week and I'm like, this sucks. Well, that's an emotion. Doesn't matter. The math is what matters. The science is what matters. The empirical data, did I do this or not, is what matters. And that's what needs to happen in these down markets is you got to have systems. And hear this phrase out. I've been saying this for years about communications. You need to have systems that supersede the emotional moment. You need to have systems that supersede your emotional moment. Because if your emotion says, I don't want to get up in the morning to work out, but my system and my process says I get up anyways. Well, okay, well, maybe it's just by myself. Well, maybe then I have a workout partner. Maybe that's my system. I didn't want to work out this morning, but Amanda shows up at 8:30. I better get my ass in there. Now, my emotions didn't want to go work out. I had meetings today. I told Dave, I'm like, what are we going to do? We got back to back. I wouldn't have been on this call unless Dave held me accountable to this call. That's the beauty of having systems that supersede the emotional moment. So and part of knowing that is knowing yourself, self-awareness. I know that at the end of the day, or let's say, I'll give you another example. Let's go back to food because it's tangible. I know myself, self-awareness, that if I go into a restaurant hungry at the end of a long day, I will have cognitive fatigue. And if I know that I open that menu, I will be enticed to order things that do not serve me for my goals. I also know that I probably will be around people that will say, come on, Rene, don't be so hard on yourself. Have just one. So I have to know all of those factors going into it. And I have to know that I have to preempt all of that. Ways that I preempt it, slam a protein shake before I walk into the restaurant. Just ruin the appetite. Best restaurant, so excited, man. They have the best steaks. Slam a protein shake, just, excuse my language, just fuck up the whole appetite. So now I don't even really want it. And so now I got rid of it and I'm walking in. Next thing, don't open the menu. Choose a protein, choose a vegetable, be done with it. Next thing, I only order water. Okay. So those are things that my emotions, I want to get all sorts of other things. Other rules. Since I travel all the time, don't eat at restaurant, or don't eat at hotel, don't eat on planes or at airports. And so those are just decisions. Now, are they easy? No, but I got to be held accountable to them. So now when it comes to work, okay, so what are the decisions that I make that supersede? How about having a pipeline meeting, setting time blocks aside for making phone calls? And no matter what, and maybe if I don't want to show up to those, then have a partner in that. Do power hours. Get with my realtor partner and say, we're going to power hour 3 times a week. And we're going to, for 1 hour, we're just going to pound the phones together. Even if we're just on Zoom, how many did you get? And we're going to count. How many times did I dial the phone? How many times did I talk to someone? How many leads did I generate? How many appointments did I book? If I can just measure those 4, that's a huge way to just keep the activity going. And if I don't want to show up, then force somebody to show up with me. Now you hold each other accountable, but have systems and processes that supersede my emotional moment. To know those emotional moments, you got to know yourself, know your moments of weakness. Have you heard of that concept of cognitive fatigue?
Of course.
Dave?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So then the simple study that was done, and what they did is they wanted to measure cognitive fatigue and decision-making. So they had students come in and participants come in, and they had, there's 2 groups. one that had to memorize 7 digits, one that had to memorize 2. Of course, the ones that memorized 7, that would be considered people that had created a little bit, just an ounce of cognitive fatigue. At the end of the experiment, they said, great, thank you so much. At the end, feel free to help yourself to a snack. There were 2 tables. On the left side, there were fruits and vegetables. On the right side, there was cake. And what they found were people that memorized 2 numbers, 50% went for the cake, 50% went for fruits and vegetables. What would you guess the number was for the people that had to memorize 7? 100% went for the cake. 100% went for the cake. So what happens is when you have a long day, cognitive fatigue lowers your ability to stick to your goals. You're tired cognitively. So you don't have the same willpower. And so know yourself. Long day. I'm going to be really weak-minded at the end of the day. So I better not plan some dinner that that if I've got the goal to get in shape and I have a long day and I plan this beautiful dinner at night, you'd be stupid not to realize that you're going to screw up your entire goals. But then the emotion comes in, but it's, I really love food and I love this whole experience and camaraderie. Well, I've come to learn that I can still be in a relationship and eat a piece of steak and a vegetable and water and not have the wine. By the way, only my goals, no one else's. And that's the other piece. I had to be okay being okay with just me. I don't share the goal publicly because I didn't want everybody else to feel bad. Like you just got to, it depends on what's your goal? How focused are you on that goal? And for me, the reason I focused on my health was because I had all these other things, but clearly I couldn't manage my own weight. I couldn't manage. I did this, dude. I'll show you this picture. If I'm talking about helping other people manage their stuff, but I couldn't even manage it myself, at some point, people are going to start questioning me. I took the same angle on purpose, right? People said on the right, oh, that's a bad angle. I said, well, let me take the same angle and see what happens. That's 100 pounds of fat loss. I wanted to both double chin angles from the low position point. That was my goal because, and every time, and then I had that picture ready. When people start bothering me, I'm like, you know what? This is why I don't do that. And I'd ask you not to ask me again. They're like, well, you can just have one. I go, that guy had just one. And you know what they would do? Shut up. And I would just have to be ready because it's so stupid how many people around you just don't understand your goals and want to make themselves feel better. And you got to be ready to tell them to shut the hell up and to say, I'm going this way. And I only got ready for that because to me, it was, if you're going to ask me, then I have a bullet in the chamber for that. I had to get ready for that because otherwise I'd be like, no, it's just, you don't understand. But then they're like, oh, dude, you're just being, I'm like, no, I'm not trying to preach my thing. This is only for Renee's world. You eat what you want. All I know is that I was killing myself. And they because the change happened so gradually, they didn't see it. And they'd be like, Renee, why are you pushing on? And I show them, I go, that's why. And they go, oh shit. I go, so leave me the fuck alone now, please. And so sorry for my language, but at some point I had to get to the point where my goals mattered more than your emotions. And a lot of times I heard this quote yesterday, I think it was Deion Sanders, and I got to get it right. I'm not going to apologize for my confidence if it offends your insecurity. And so I'm not going to apologize for my confidence if it offends some level of insecurity you have or your inability to do something. You see me focused. I'm not going to lower myself because you can't. And that's okay. But I'm also not going to bring it up. But if you go toe to toe with me, I will tell you why I'm doing it. And you got to have that same level of vigor with your personal financial goals, with your goals around your business in an environment right now where everyone is being negative and everyone has every excuse. And this is where the insecurity comes into play. It's way easier to blame something outside of myself, like a market or interest rates or inflation or a lawsuit, than to say, am I doing the things I have to do? It's so much easier. And I'm speaking to you, whoever you is that's listening to this, you got to be ready for that own battle for yourself. And you got to be ready to go toe to toe in the mirror. And then for those that don't believe and trying to pull you away from it, because the thing that's interesting to me, what's interesting is that every time we make a good decision for ourselves and people observe that decision, that person observing has to go through their own thought process. One is, they'll say, would I have done the same thing in the same circumstance? Wow, I'm watching Dave or Renee or Jeremy or whoever do this really good goal. And if the answer is, yes, I would have, they can feel inspired by that. They can feel akin, like a, they can feel a kindred spirit there. But if the answer is no, I wouldn't have, man, they're strong. Then they're faced with another decision. Do I have the capacity to make that decision, to make a change? If the answer is yes, then they're inspired by our discipline. If the answer is no, then they either have to make a change within themselves or they have to stop us from doing it to feel better. Unfortunately, too many people fall down that path of trying to stop other people from doing well so they don't feel bad about themselves. And I had to personally, because I'm such a relationship person, I like people to feel comfortable around me. I'm somebody that builds community. And that became such a manipulation point where people manipulated me into doing great things because I didn't want them to feel bad. I finally had to adopt the mentality of saying, I don't care if my confidence or if my discipline offends your insecurity. I don't care anymore. I care about you, but I'm not going to allow that to stop me from my progress on my goals. And that made a big shift in who I spend my time with. And that's okay. And by the way, if you're not spending your time with the right people, this is cliched stuff, meaning we hear it all the time, you're going to need to change that. I don't propose that you make it dramatic. When I make a shift away from somebody, that person never even knows it. I might still be friends with them. I just don't spend much time, measurable time with them. And that if I can still love them, but I might not spend measurable time with them. And so that just reduces the amount of impact and influence they have on me. But I increase the measurable time I have with the people that are going in the direction that I want to go. So I know there's a lot there, but yeah.
Yeah, no, bro. So much. I mean, this has been a great separation season interview. Everyone listening to this right now, I mean, cannot recommend enough this book, Amplify Your Influence. Coming into the new year, your influence is going to matter more than ever. I mean, real estate agents need your leadership. And by the way, they need better, not bitter leadership. They need tactics and strategies and skills to help consumers decide, hey, should I rent out my home and move up? Hey, should I sell the home that has 2 or 3% interest rate and move up? Should I, we're in a financial literacy crisis, affordability crisis. Should I, and how can I help inspire and educate and create clarity and confidence for first-time homebuyers? Like, all of these things are so important. So Rene, you have your book. You also have this on audiobook. It's about maybe it's a 6-hour audiobook. I remember it. I actually have not listened to the audiobook. Oh, it's 5 hours, 31 minutes. I just teed it up. So I'm personally going to listen to the audiobook. What are some other ways that people can lean into your community? Well, you're always doing workshops, but what are the best ways for anyone listening to this to, lean into what you're doing and get value?
So we do a monthly group coaching program in our academy, and in that I take on one week where we go through in depth on a topic to keep this front of mind, and then the second I bring one of my guest coaches, and these are high level influencers that you might even know: Jen Gottlieb's, Keaton the Muscle, Brad Lee, a lot of people that are in my network. That I bring in. So we do 2 times a month. And so, and I just thought of this. I'll send you the link. Maybe you can put in there, but I like to offer everybody listening here 1 free month. That would be 2 coaching sessions to decide if that's something that you like. Even if you just get two sessions out of it, each one of the sessions is like a full-on training webinar. And it is, that's one thing people will tell you, that there's a lot of value that we give away in those. And then the other piece too, I got to figure out how we're doing a daily text message where I wrote 365 texts right from my book. And the whole challenge that people said, Rene, we go through this workshop, but how do I keep this front of mind? And so I said, okay, well, we took this project on. I want to create 365 daily motivational texts that come straight from the book. And it's done in 2 pieces. One is it's an insight. We give an insight on influence, and then we give you a specific action to take. So it's insight, action every single day. And if you can just keep those, and they're simple actions.
What's the number? What's the number?
We just launched this. It'd be one of those things that we would have to send me a message and we have to get them logged into it. So I don't have a sign up program. It's only for our top tier folks. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can have people just sign up for it. So stay tuned on that, and then we'll get that to you. But I'd like to figure that out.
So we'll put a link down
Uh,
below, meetrene.com. Is that the #1 website to go
yeah, Me
to?
Renee is our yeah, and then of course we got Amplify that we do every single month. We've got we're doing one time a month across the country, and where you can spend 2.5 days with me going through this.
And I will tell you guys, I have been through Amplify 3 times. I highly recommend it. You know, I refer people to it every month. Uh, well over 1,000, or not 1,000, but hundreds of mortgage coaches have been through this. And I just can't recommend that event enough. And
Thank you.
anything else before we wrap it up, bro?
No, dude, I appreciate everything you're doing, man. Like the pull on all of us to get better and to continue your consistency over the years makes all of us better. And one of the things that I've always said is that you've done thousands of these interviews and never once have you been interviewed in these. And it shows how much you care about the rest of us. You built your business and life truly by building all of us up. And it's an honor. It's a privilege. And you're such a blessing to all of us. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, brother. You are a blessing. Grateful for this time. Grateful for how much you invest in the mission I'm on with both Trust Engine and First Home IQ, and hope everybody got value. Best way to say thank you to Rene is, like I said, follow him on social media. Don't just buy his book. This is a great book for real estate agents. Get a case of these books. And real estate agents need to amplify their influence. Go to an
Yeah,
Amplify event
if you want them
with an
if you want them
agent.
signs, if you want them signed, send them to me. Send them to me or whatever. I'll send them out for you. The other cool thing that I was noticing, we had somebody. This is a cool aha moment I had. I had some people doing book clubs, and they would bring all of these agents into a book club. So you get this, they all buy their book, and you do a book club once a week. And here's the thing: if you do a book club, let me know. I'll call in. And it became like I thought I'll surprise them, the author kind of chiming in, but I came in and I think I got more out of listening to people dissect the book than they got out of it. I mean, they were excited, like, wow, I never thought an author would come in. But to me, I was like, wow, these people are truly diving in. So if you do a book club and people buy the books, let me know. And as long as it's not during a meeting or a keynote or something, I will make an appearance and at least at a minimum send a video that you can use. So leverage this relationship through Trust Engine and MortgageCoach to create those. And my gift back to you would be to make time to join.
Appreciate you, brother. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Great conversation.
Thanks, man.
All
We'll see
right.
you.
Take care, everybody.